In honour of Pensions Awareness Day, which as you will all be aware was on Sunday, we thought we would take some time out of our day to answer some burning questions on the subject of pensions. We've got our resident chartered financial planner here, Amanda Cowie, on hand, and thank you for the questions that you've already sent in. So the first of these is, I'm a 22-year-old graduate and have just started my first job. My salary is around 25,000 and I have rent, and I'm conscious that my student loan payments will start kicking in. My employer has told me about the workplace pension and I'm thinking of opting out and leaving pension savings until I'm older. What do you think?
Okay, well, that's a good question, really good question. And I suppose what I would firstly say is, if you were always a student, I'm guessing 25,000 a year is quite a lot of money for your first time, first job. And I'm always thinking about that little saying, what you don't have, you don't miss. And I suppose, you know, I get that you want to, you know, you're thinking about spending the money for yourself, but I think it's really important just to think about if you opt out of the pension scheme, you're going to lose that 3% contribution from your employer. 3% going in, it doesn't cost you nothing, it's like free money from your employer. But then I do get that you will have to put in 5% yourself, so that seems quite a lot, particularly if you've got rent, you've got student loans and all of that kicking in, so I get that. But is it really 5%? Because actually, the whole benefit of pensions is that the government gives you a little bit of tax relief. So for every £10 that's going into your pension, effectively it's really only costing you £5 because of the tax relief you receive from the government and the contribution from your employer. So that seems like quite a good deal to me. And I suppose, putting my financial planner hat on, I would also say it's really good to have a plan in place. I know it's difficult to imagine being 22 and then for the next 40 years what that's going to look like, and obviously it will change over time, but to be honest, if you have no plan in place at all, you have no savings at all, and you want to stop work, say in your 60s or before then even, if you can afford it, you're going to be reliant on the state pension. And at the minute, that's 8,500 a year. That is not, if you think 25,000 is, you know, not massive, 8,500 is not a lot of money to live on, really. So I did a bit of numbers after, you know, I'd had a look at that question before. I did a few numbers and I've calculated that if you're 22 and you're on 25,000 a year, you don't get massive pay rises, you just get inflationary rises for the next 40 years. You stick in the 8% a year, that's the statutory minimum. You get 5% investment in growth every year, which would be kind of standard average, I would imagine. That would give you a pot of about 340,000 at age 62. That seems like a lot of money.
It does.
But is it? Right. What does that buy you in terms of income? And it's basically, what you need to worry about is you don't want to take too much out of it and then have nothing left. So you want to make it eke out, really. So broad rule of thumb is about 4 or 5%. So say 17,000 a year. But in 40 years' time, 17,000 a year. That equates to about 6,500 or 7,000 in today's money. Again, not a lot of money. So I would say, stay in, get the free money from your employer, get the tax relief from the government, and just start small.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Okay, so the second question is, I am age 56, I have some money in a private pension. I work for the NHS, so I'm a member of their pension scheme as well. My health has not been great lately and I'm wondering what will happen to the money in this pension scheme if I die. I'd like to pass it on to my daughter, as my wife will get 50% of my NHS pension and also has a good pension of her own.
Okay, no, that is a good question. It's quite surprising. I think some people think that when you die, your pension that you've saved just kind of goes poof up with the ether, it just disappears. That is not the case at all, but you've got to be quite careful about telling the provider what your wishes are. And I would say to that person that, well, hopefully, you know, they've got a long time to live, but I think it's good, it's sensible just to think about these things. But you should tell the provider and complete a nomination form, and that's that you're basically making your wishes known to the provider where that money's to go straight to. So this is a bit miserable, but basically if you die before the age of 75, your daughter, the daughter could receive the whole thing tax-free. Now, why is that age of 75 in there? Because the government obviously want to get tax receipts, and most people die after the age of 75. So after the age of 75, it does get a little bit more complicated. So the daughter could still get the whole amount. We didn't see how much it was in the pot. They could get the whole amount paid out, but it could be liable to some tax. So what I would say is it would be good to check with the provider and see how flexible that arrangement is, because it'd be really nice if the daughter, instead, if obviously the man died post 75 and it was subject to some tax, it'd be nice that she could take it out in a flexible way. If she had to receive the whole amount in one lump sum, that could be added to all her other income in that year, and she could lose maybe 40% of it, and that would just be daft. It'd be really nice if she could just draw flexible income.
As she needed.
Definitely. So I would just say check with the provider, always complete a nomination form and just check and see how flexible their arrangements are. And if not, take some advice and perhaps move it to something that is a bit more flexible. Yeah.
Okay, so the third and final question for today's session is very common. And can I take my pension as a lump sum?
Well, the answer is yes, you can. You could take the whole thing out. A few years ago, the government introduced something called pension freedoms, and that basically means that you've got freedom to take that money out, but you have to be a bit careful. So you might have heard of that. There was a headline about everybody's going to take all their money out and buy a Lamborghini with their pension. Well, I mean, I don't know how much a Lamborghini costs. It must be quite a lot. But if they did that, they would be taxed to hell, really. So you have to be 55 to get your money out of a pension, and actually that is set to increase from 2028. So from then, it's supposed to be within 10 years of state pension age. So for me, my state pension age is 67, so I wouldn't be able to get any money at all out of my private pension until I'm 57, and that's probably going to be the case for most people. So I would just say to this person that sent the question in, yes, you can, but for instance, if you had 100,000 in your pot and you were 55, so you obviously can take it all out in a winner, 25,000 of that would be tax-free, but the other 75,000 would be added to all the other income you've had in that year and taxed accordingly. So you could lose maybe 40%, depending on what other income you've got. That's a lot of money to lose in tax, really. And the government would love to receive that tax from you, but a bit daft. So to me, it would be good just to phase that over a few years and always try and minimise the tax that you pay when you're getting your money out. It's flexible, but just be aware of the tax and maybe take some advice too.
Yeah, that's the most important bit.
Questions, really appreciate it. Sorry we couldn't cover them all, there was quite a lot, but you know, check out our blogs over the next few weeks. We're always blogging on pensions, and check out our website. If you need to ask any more questions, just get in touch with us. Happy to chat any queries through with you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.